Between 1976 and 1983, Argentina was engulfed in a brutal period of state terrorism known as the Dirty War. This dark chapter in history saw thousands of people kidnapped, tortured, and killed by the military dictatorship. The military junta, which took power in a coup d'etat, targeted anyone they suspected of being associated with socialism, leftist politics, or any form of opposition. Hello and welcome to our channel. Today, we explore the Argentine Dirty War, focusing on newly declassified documents that shed light on the horrific events and the roles played by both the Argentine and US governments. We will explore the origins of the conflict, the methods of repression used by the military regime, and the international response to these human rights violations. On March 24, 1976, a military coup led by General Jorge Rafael Videla overthrew the government of Isabel Perón, marking the beginning of the dictatorship. The junta justified its actions as a necessary measure to combat terrorism and subversion. However, their methods were far from justifiable. The regime's actions were characterized by severe human rights abuses that targeted not only political activists, but also students, intellectuals, and ordinary citizens. The military regime implemented a systematic campaign of repression. People were kidnapped from their homes, workplaces, and the streets. They were taken to clandestine detention centers where they faced torture and often death. Many were never seen again, becoming part of the disappeared, or desaparecidos. These individuals were stripped of their rights and subjected to unimaginable suffering, often without any formal charges or legal proceedings. Declassified US documents reveal the extent of the junta's brutality. One CIA cable describes how, months after the coup, federal police rounded up and murdered 30 militants, scattering their body parts as a warning to others. Another report details how security forces intercepted and stole a hearse carrying the remains of a leftist guerrilla leader to prevent an autopsy that would reveal signs of torture. These documents paint a vivid picture of the lengths to which the regime would go to maintain control and instill fear. The US government was not merely a bystander. Documents show that US officials, including Secretary of State Henry Kissinger, were aware of the human rights abuses and chose to support the military regime. Kissinger advised caution in public criticism while encouraging the junta privately. This support extended to economic and military aid, which bolstered the regime's capacity to carry out its repressive policies. In a 1976 meeting, U.S. Ambassador Robert Hill expressed concerns about human rights abuses to President Videla, who dismissed them. Videla mentioned that Secretary Kissinger understood their problem and hoped Argentina could control terrorism swiftly. This dialogue highlights the complicity of the U.S. in the atrocities as it prioritized geopolitical interests over human rights. Reports from the State Department's Bureau of Intelligence and Research acknowledged that right-wing terrorists, often police or military personnel, acted with impunity and the knowledge of high-level officials. Despite this, Videla feared that cracking down on these abuses would undermine the fight against subversion. This internal conflict within the junta only exacerbated the human rights situation, leading to widespread impunity for those committing atrocities. One particularly gruesome account from the declassified files involves the kidnap, torture, and murder of 2 Cuban embassy officers by Argentine security forces. Their bodies were disposed of in a river, encased in cement-filled drums. Such acts of violence were not uncommon, as the regime sought to eliminate any perceived threat, regardless of diplomatic norms or international laws. These documents not only highlight the extent of the atrocities committed, but also the complicity and support of the US government. Efforts by families of the victims and human rights organizations have led to the release of these documents, providing a clearer picture of the horrors of the dirty war. The pursuit of justice continues as more information comes to light, and many of those responsible for these crimes have faced legal repercussions in recent years. By confronting these dark aspects of history with honesty and transparency, we honor the memory of the victims and ensure that such atrocities are never forgotten or repeated. It is through understanding and acknowledging the past that we can build a future where human rights are respected and protected. Thank you for joining us today. Please subscribe to our channel for more historical insights and updates on declassified documents. Until next time, stay informed and remember the past to protect the future.